everyone. In this video, I will be going over how to have a stellar 3-minute thesis. A 3-minute thesis was founded in the University of Queensland, and it encapsulates your thesis work on one static slide for the general public. And you have to tell a story. It's not the traditional, here's the introduction, materials, methods, results, discussion. It's not the outline of a scientific paper. What you want to do is you want to take that last sentence you have in discussion and bring that forward. So for example, if your work is finding the elucidation of a causative mutation for a particular disease, then state that, right, in the beginning. So you want to talk about the impact of your work. You want to tell people why should they listen to you. So a good way to start a 3-minute thesis is a hook statement. And what are some hook statements? So for example, you might want to talk about a crazy fact. And you want to start in the beginning, in front of your audience. Did you know that there are more cell phones on this planet than there are people? And then you can talk about cell phone technology or whatever you want to talk about as you back up. Another example, as you were riding up the elevator this morning, somebody sneezed. Were you afraid, or were you okay because you took the flu shot this season? So you want to relate to the people in the audience by starting with a story that they can all relate to. So these are some of the categories that the 3-minute thesis should be judged on, or that we judge it on. Number one is the slide. Is the slide helpful to the presentation? Does it bring anything to the presentation? You should be able to say your 3-minute thesis without the slide, and people should be able to understand it. But if you have some visuals that will help, then that's relevant, then that would be helpful. There should be less text, so there shouldn't be so much text that people are reading. You want to have a nice visual so it enhances your story. Clarity. Do the people understand it? So clarity would be for a grade 10 high school student. Would they be able to understand it? So you're going to have to remove some of the jargon that you usually use in your papers. Delivery and engagement. How engaged were you? How enthusiastic are you about your research project? If you're not enthusiastic, then why would the audience be? Okay. And professionalism. Professionalism is not just about the content of what you're talking about, but the way you deliver it, how it's delivered, your professional dress. That is also helpful as well. So in our class, when we talk about 3MT, we have a practice session even before the practice of the 3MT, and that is called slide karaoke. And that is, I put on any slide up here, and all of the students have to go through a slide to describe that slide when they're looking at it for the very first time. Okay, so for example, I might put this up here, and the student is supposed to just stand up here and talk about this slide for 1 minute. There are two ways of doing this. One, you can actually describe the slide itself on the different colors, the shapes, the object you're looking at, where the light bounces off, and actually describe it as if you were looking at artwork. Another way is looking at it and thinking of, oh, I remember a story of when I was swimming one day and I got stung by a jellyfish. And then you can talk about that story. Then after the student has that 1-minute talk, then peers and I give feedback just on their presentation. Were they engaging? Were they standing straight up so you have confidence? How were their How were their vocals? Were they loud enough? Enthusiastic enough? Were they engaging with everyone, having eye contact with all audience members? Then they take that feedback and then they're given another slide right away, so it's real-time learning, and then they go through a different slide. So again, this slide is very different from the previous one. They have to take the feedback that their peers and I have given them and use that to describe the second slide. And it ends up being a very fun exercise, but it also helps in real time on how to improve your presentation skills. So for the next videos, I'm going to be talking about various GPD concepts that we talk about during class, and also a summary of the next steps as you move forward.